So again, the 10.1V for Australia and Europe comes with a SIM card, comes unlocked, and again, they don't seem to do this that much in the U.S. This is why your reviews tend to be skewed sometimes. I don't like this particular model because it's with this carrier, and I don't have a good AT&T coverage, etc., etc. We don't have that problem in Australia. We just have a problem in Europe as well. We just have problems getting the unit sometimes. So this unit was released and not released in the U.S. for the reasons I mentioned. The next unit is the Motorola. Again, really nice build quality. I just love the weight of it. The trouble is I don't want one that's heavy and built that well. I want one that's light. And if I was going to have multiple ones, don't know. It's very heavy. The build quality is fantastic. It just reminds me of a good Dell laptop that you know business grade. It's just really nice and solid. You've got the 5 megapixel camera. So all the 5 megapixel cameras will record and play in high def. The 3 megapixels and below don't. So the Google one, the regular 10.1, has a 3 megapixel on the front, a 2 megapixel on the front, 3 megapixel on the back. So it doesn't record in high def. That's got nothing to do with the video card that's actually on the unit. So this will play and record in high def with the Motorola XOOM. This is the Wi-Fi only model. Also out in Australia now is the model that's got the SIM card option. And I don't know, but I believe it's unlocked as well. Power button is a big inside secret joke with these sort of things. People have more trouble trying to figure out how to start the thing than to do anything else. But again, lovely machine, lovely build quality. It will be on eBay in a few days. It's not even been used for more than an hour, so look for it out on eBay very cheaply, as long as I don't drop it. And last but not least is the Acer. Now, some things I like, some things I don't like about the Acer. We'll start with some of the good things here. You've got the volume rocker, and you've got a horizontal vertical lock switch. Then you've got the SD card on it. A biggie, which is a unique thing for it, is the fact it's got USB, full USB on it, which means you can plug in keyboards, mice, things of that sort. Mainly important external storage. The idea of being able to take a USB stick and plug it straight into your Android tablet is absolutely brilliant. Again, I'm assuming everybody's got Android devices. The beauty of an Android tablet as opposed to one like Apple is you plug it into your PC or Mac, and it just sees the Android tablet as a big USB stick in its own right. So you can then add files to it and all the rest of it, and it really is a big advantage for doing it. Again, I find the build quality a little bit tinny for me. So tinny on the Acer A500 that when you plug power into it and you're holding it while you're charging it, you do get that kind of bit of residual electricity going through stuff, which I absolutely hate. And I am being a bit picky, but you got to differentiate something. The nice thing about reviewing 4 units side by side, 5 including the iPad, is you're reviewing 4 or 5 units. The downside is you start to say, well, these are all much of muchness, which is a handy thing because you can't see these normally all together at one time in one place and being reviewed all at one time in one place. So pros and cons. Again, you've got I don't like the power switch placement on the A500 Acer. It's not very recessed. You can see it that you want it to stick out a little bit more on them. When you're picking the unit up, and if it's not particularly light, you actually have a hard time seeing the power switch at all. Again, I'm being picky, but these are the things that matter to me. It's about the same weight as the XOOM and as the actually every other tablet that's out there that I've seen so far. They're all the same weight, with the exception of the Google 10.1. Video playback and the rest of it, I actually found it pretty solid. Now, one of the problems I have had on the Acer A500 was it didn't like some video playback. Now, I don't know if that was a codec issue. I've read that a lot of people have the same problem, but I haven't dissected it enough to know if it does actually have a video playback problem with some video formats. I've used Mobile Player on every Android device, and this was the only one I had that I actually had trouble playing some video on it. Could just be me, but that's why I'm not going into that much on the technical. I'm trying to really do an aesthetic comparison side by side, because that might help some folks. So you've got micro HDMI, USB power. You've got the horizontal vertical lock, as I mentioned. For some reason, they didn't put these on any of the other Android units. It's quite a useful thing, which is those that folks know that have an iPad. And that's pretty much it. Again, the full USB is really a differentiator on it, but not enough for me to make me want the unit. So, quick recap. Google I/O, thin is sexy, bigger and thinner than the iPad. And I guess the compromise on that is that the video camera on it is only 3 megapixel. It's the lowest video camera on any of the tablets, but it's also the thinnest and biggest tablet as well. It's about 1 inch wider than the iPad. I can show you the, I'll come back to it in a minute. The iPad is narrower and a little bit thicker, but not thick enough to make a difference. So if you're using it for an e-reader, you're using it for streaming video, the video playback on this, the sound quality is brilliant. Battery life, you can't forget about battery life. Now, on all the devices, except for the Acer A500, I found battery life really good. What's got the best battery life of all the units, considering it? Google 10.1, folks. It's got a good-sized battery in it. The weight of this thing, as thin as it is and as light as it is, must be all battery. The battery life on it is better than the iPad. I've done some really side-by-side comparisons because I'm keeping my iPad 2 and I'm keeping the 10.1 Google, and I've really done a lot of use between the two. Trouble I've got with the 10.1 now is it keeps crashing a lot, waiting for Android 3.1 to resolve that issue. While we're talking about Android 3.1, beautiful job Motorola's done with the Zoom. When I turned it on, the first thing it wanted to see is to find a network, see if it had Wi-Fi. As soon as it found Wi-Fi, right away it downloaded 3.1, took 20 seconds on a pretty decent speed Wi-Fi, but so it had Honeycomb 3.1 on it before I really got out the door. Had I known that, it said an update was found. I didn't realize it was Honeycomb 3.1. I would have liked to have done some testing without it because it really does run just that much better. So if you forget the aesthetics for a moment and say, well, which has got the best build quality on it, it would be Honeycomb 3.1 running on the Motorola, hands down. Big difference? Don't really think so. I haven't done any really CPU testing between the two. Does seem that much more snappy. It does seem that much more refined. I would kind of put it down as saying the first service pack you got for Vista, or the first service pack maybe even for Windows 7. Macs, I couldn't really tell you. It does seem that much more refined, but because it is. So, but none of the others have had any performance problem whatsoever. I just noticed that Honeycomb 3.1 running on the Motorola Zoom is just a little bit sleeker and a little bit faster and better. So, video quality playback, 10.1, no problem, high def all the way, 3 megapixel. Samsung 10.1V. If you haven't got your hands on one now, you probably won't be able to. I'm checking at the moment. I think they're on back order, and I think the rumor is about the time they come off a back order, they won't be available anymore. So there may be an issue with production on those. But highest spec of all of them. Surprised they haven't brought out a 3.1 update for it yet. I would have loved to see this with 3.1. And by the way, I've not rooted any of these tablets yet, so I'm not going through anything that isn't just anything you would get out of the box. 8 megapixel camera on the 10.1V. Again, as far as I'm concerned, probably the best quality spec for lightness and the rest of it of all of them. The Zoom is really a close third if you're including the 10.1 standard up. And then a little bit unfortunate with Acer. But again, the good side with Acer is they put a full USB port on it. And the other thing is they just show up. When they were launched over here, I don't know about outside Australia, but when they were launched in Australia, well, actually they haven't launched. They just showed up. Literally over a weekend, a friend of mine said, have you seen these new Android Acer A500 tablets? I go, so I didn't even know they were coming out yet. Heard about them, been following them, had no idea they were coming out. And they showed up everywhere. All the office supply places, anywhere that sold a laptop, because they're Wi-Fi only. And the thing to remember is it looks about 90% of the devices that are coming out, at least outside the U.S. from what I'm seeing, are Wi-Fi only for the most part. Still plenty of them that take SIM cards, but more of them that are Wi-Fi only than are not. So that's a point. And then the Motorola Zoom itself, beautiful unit, well done to Motorola on the build quality and the rest of it. Just a bit heavy for my needs. And the good news is this will be out on eBay in the next few days. And it will be the cheapest price of any Zoom on eBay. That's what I do. So I hope that helps. A lot of people were asking about the 10.1. I hope I've done some justice. Showed some video. Spoke about the lack of SD card. The chances of there being no SD card is pretty high, I would imagine. This particular unit has come out as 32 gig. The concern of the 10.1V is it's only 16 gig and also no SD card. So that's obviously a concern. And that's it for me. Any questions? Look at the byline. I'm there, Mr. Internet, on Twitter. And otherwise, thanks for watching. And if you want to subscribe or follow me, please do.